What's up everybody, welcome back to Nintendo Land, and today we have something a little bit more unique than we've been doing recently. I wanted to go back to Mario Maker 2 and look at some crazy creations people have made over the last couple of years. And one thing that I found is there's some creators out there that's been kind of recreating different type of Mario bosses and video game bosses, and I want to kind of talk about them and go over each one in its own separate video. So today, I want to talk about Mario 64 bosses recreated in Mario Maker 2 from Pi/Realm. I'll put up their creative code above so you can check out their content, and I even follow them. They create tons of boss battle recreations from like Paper Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, Kirby, and I think it's really cool, and I can't wait to look into the others. But today we're looking at their Mario 64 boss battles, and they've pretty much recreated every single Mario 64 boss battle, and we're gonna go in and kind of play through the levels, and I'm gonna kind of talk about it in an overview and tell you exactly how they kind of did each thing and how each one mirrors the actual counterpart. But if you enjoy this video, stop what you're doing, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Maker and all things Nintendo in general. So right off the bat here, we have King Bob-omb, and normally what you would try to do is pick him up and throw him on the ground 3 times in order to break him. But this time, he's a giant structure made of munchers, clouds, and even cannons, and it's your job to get all the way around him. You can see the little crowns with the question blocks, and you have to get from the left side to the right side and break him apart. And to do that, you have to move the snake blocks that he's standing on, and then eventually hit the on-off switch. Next up, we have King Whomp from Whomp's Fortress. This time, it is just a giant tower of Whomps, and you have to get through by using a helmet. Make your way all the way to the top, and eventually have one of the Whomps break you a path in order for you to slam on the top of him. Now, if there's one thing that I learned about Mario Maker, it's almost impossible to recreate that famous Mario 64 boss battle with Bowser, but someone's found a kind of unique way to do it. You have a section of giant bob-ombs and blocks that you can break the blocks in order to drop lava bubbles on the bombs and exploding a path, making Bowser fall, or you can simply just make him jump somewhere far in the lava, but it's kind of up to you how fast you want to complete this boss battle, and I think it's a clever way to beat Bowser this time around. So the next boss up we have is Big Bully, and it actually really looks like him from the eyes and even the little yellow P-block horns that he has on top of his head. Your job is to not get bounced off by the bouncer bumpers, and they will bounce you off the same way he does in the game. You have to take bob-ombs and break the bottom of him, eventually dropping him down into the lava and allowing you to escape through the on-off door. Now this next boss, Eyerok, is all about timing. You have to get through his moving hands and drop down and hit a on and off switch, allowing you to bring shells up for you to pick up and throw at his eyeballs that's on left and right side. You get to pick what side, it doesn't really matter, but it's about timing, getting through the moving blocks so you don't get squished, and also throwing a perfect shell shot hitting his eye. So, as you know, in Mario 64, you pretty much fight Big Boo 3 times in Big Boo's Haunt, and this is going to be the first encounter. This is the kind of inside of the mansion. You can see the chandelier above, and you have to find a unique way to get a star in order to defeat all the Boos that eventually start coming out of the floorboards. Now this Big Boo fight is actually one of my favorites from this Mario Maker recreation. What they did was pretty much recreate Big Boo's carousel, or Big Boo's merry-go-round in the game, and you keep going around this track like the merry-go-round, and you can see like the different boos coming out of the different paintings eventually as you're hitting the on and off switches, and you can see the little flames coming out just like in the game. It's actually perfect. And you keep going around, you have to keep hitting the on and off switch in order to drop a muncher, in order to kill all the boos. And then the final fight with Boo, we have Big Boo on the balcony, but this time we have 6 boos, 3 coming from each direction, and I got kind of panicked and kind of hit myself, but you have to wait for the block to go over and kill the muncher in order for you to get your star. Next up we have Big Mr. Eye, and you have to ride these blocks all the way around the eye in order to hit an on and off switch to defeat it all the way underneath it on the other side. Now, the entire time you have boos following you, and you also have Ludwig and Larry Koopa shooting different types of abilities at you that looks exactly the same way they do when the eye shoots at you in Mario 64. I love the recreation here, and it just matches up perfectly. Now we have our second encounter with Bowser, and it's pretty much kind of the same thing. This time you just got cannons and question blocks that the same thing happens. You have to shoot down the lava in order to blow up the Bob-omb and find a good path to kind of break in order for Bowser to fall down. So trying to do it right beside him is probably the best way, but eventually Bowser will fall, and you have to do this twice. Now we are on our last set of bosses, and the first one being Chili Bully. Now this time, he's trying to knock you off by shooting giant snowballs at you. And in order to defeat him, you have to jump on the snowball and hit it back in his direction without the icicles falling on top of it, which is actually super creative. Next up, we have the Wiggler boss fight from Tiny Huge Island, and this is actually kind of cool. The fact that it's not just a big Wiggler walking on a track, but this time it is kind of a bouncer, razor, lava form Wiggler that you have to hit the 4 POW blocks on its back, similar to Wiggler in most of the games that came later on. Now in Mario 64, you just jumped on his head, but this time you have to break his different segments, which I think is actually super duper cool. And if you break all 4, eventually you break Wiggler himself, allowing you to get the key in order to leave. And finally, we have the final boss fight with Bowser, which is recreated in such a completely different way than you probably ever could think. It's a giant obstacle course going around a giant Bowser that he's created with giant moving arms and blades and lava bubbles everywhere. Your job is to collect 3 keys, and you'll get 2 of them, but you have to get the 3rd one by collecting red coins that's all over this giant Bowser contraption, which I think is just a great addition, even though it doesn't match up with the original. Right when you think you defeated Bowser, you are still not done, as it puts you in a gauntlet of Ring of Fire. Yes, there's fire bars, there's piranha plants shooting fireballs, there's fire bubbles that are flying, there's flames, there's everything. And you have to survive in this little gauntlet until the kind of moving blocks eventually hit something and eventually allowing you to escape, getting you a key. But you have to keep surviving in this for like almost a minute, and it can be kind of brutal and crazy if you don't find a nice little pattern in order to move back and forth. There's things and effects flying across the screen. It really got crazy, but eventually it gives you the key. It took me a little bit to, realize I had the key here, but this was really cool. And that was the end of the boss fights from Mario 64. Now, they created 3 separate levels in order to get all these boss fights in here, and I'll put all the codes in the description down below for you to check them out. This was a really, really cool Mario 64 recreation with some exactly like the old game and some with some new ideas and, thoughts, and I really enjoyed this. So, check this out, and if you want to see more bosses from different Nintendo games recreated in Mario Maker 2, let me know in the comments down below by liking the video, subscribing, and commenting. It helps out a long way. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.